Miraculously manifest your divine destiny. 7 prophetic days to claim what's already yours. In the quaint English village of Eldermoor, where the chime of the old church bells summoned the faithful, a wave of divine promise rippled through the air. Grace, a devoted mother and grieving widow, knelt before the altar, her heart heavy with despair. The shadows of her past weighed on her, and as she whispered her burdens to the heavens, she felt an indescribable warmth envelop her. In 7 days, your destiny will be unveiled, a voice resonated like a hymn in her spirit. It was a stirring prophetic message that sparked a flicker of hope within her, a hope she had almost forgotten. On the first day, life seemed to shine brightly again. Grace's young son, Jamie, laughed as they walked home from church, sunlight weaving through the trees, lighting their path. The flock of birds overhead flapped their wings as if celebrating the revival of their spirits. But just as the light began to penetrate the darkness, a shroud of dread descended. By the evening, Jamie was struck by a mysterious fever, leaving Grace in frantic prayer, candles flickering around her in the dim light of their living room. As the days unfolded one by one, trials marched in like a storm. The weight of mounting debts hung over Grace like a specter, and the once vibrant laughter of her boy echoed hollow in her ears. Neighbors rallied to lift her spirits, visiting with fresh-baked bread and cups of tea, yet the sense of impending doom loomed ever larger. Through it all, Grace clung fiercely to Saint Michael, their beloved patron saint. With every flicker of a candle, she felt the power of community as they collectively chanted for protection. "In faith, we stand together," they declared in fervent tones, hands raised in devotion. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each dawn, Grace's heart fluctuated between hope and despair. On the 6th day, she gathered with her loved ones in a final push for prayer, for in their hearts the countdown to revelation had begun. As they prayed for Jamie's healing, a breathless silence fell upon the room. Then, suddenly, a light flickered in the corner, illuminating Jamie's pale face. The fever that gripped him released its hold, and with it came a miraculous shudder, a healing that rippled through the household with a burst of joy and disbelief. It was as if heaven itself kissed the earth, yet, as the village erupted in celebration, Grace felt an unsettling twist in her spirit. The prophetic promise whispered of destiny. How could this single miracle define everything? She soon stumbled upon a long-hidden family heirloom, a delicate locket buried beneath years of neglect. With trembling hands, she carefully opened it, revealing secrets and love from generations past. A spark of realization surged through her. This was the key to understanding her true legacy and the divine path ahead. But just as clarity touched her heart, a new decision loomed on the horizon, and Grace found herself standing at the precipice of a profound truth. Would she cling to faith and step boldly into the unknown, or would the dim shadows of doubt once again threaten to envelop her family? As the echoes of Saint Michael's protection coursed through her, Grace sensed that her extraordinary journey was only just beginning. What could this destiny truly entail, and how would it shape her family and the village? The dawn of the 7th day painted the sky with hues of gold and red, a divine canvas as Grace awoke with her heart pulsing with anticipation. She looked towards Jamie, sleeping peacefully, his face a picture of innocence and hope. So many changes had graced their lives. Within a week, miracles kindled within the woven fabrics of their very souls. Grace gently placed her fingers on the locket she had found, now resting against her chest. It felt like a compass drawing her towards something more. Memories flooded her mind as she thought of her late husband, his laughter still echoing in the corridors of her heart, and the love they shared now felt lighter, no longer a burden of grief but a guiding light. As she readied the day, her spirit danced with a mix of grace and uncertainty. Surely, there was more to this moment than mere survival. She stepped outside, greeted by the tender warmth of the sun, cradling her body in its embrace. The village seemed different, a fresh breath of life coursed through it. She spotted her neighbors tending to their gardens, children playing, laughter ringing across the meadows. Scenes that used to bring her joy now felt like a bittersweet reminder of what was once normal. "What is there to be afraid of?" she whispered, trying to inject courage into her own heart. As midday arrived, a small gathering formed in the village square. It was customary to celebrate the changing seasons with a festival, but it felt different now. Grace sensed it was a gathering of souls hungry for connection, renewal, and divine direction. She moved through the crowd, each face she encountered reflecting a shared history of trials and triumphs. "Isn't it time to awaken our spirits?" a voice cried from the center, reverberating through the air like a clarion call. The villagers paused, turning towards Grace, whose heart now raced with an unusual urgency. The little boy holding onto his mother's hand smiled up at her, pure and bright, sparking hope within her breast. With resolute steps, Grace approached the center of the gathering, her voice trembling yet firm. "Friends," she began, "through our prayers and faith, we have witnessed the workings of God in our lives." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, an awakening of collective spirit. "But I believe today is not about our individual miracles. It's time to unite our faith and purpose to see what greater destiny God intends for us all." At that moment, something shifted. A hush fell as Grace stood at the very heart of that community, feeling the pulse of their collective anticipation. Up above, the sky shimmered with wispy clouds that seemed to swirl, echoing the whirl of emotions in the village below. As she continued speaking, she felt the presence of Saint Michael, guarding her words, igniting a passion within her to lead. What if our paths are intertwined? What if each of us carries a part of a divine puzzle meant for a greater purpose? The air crackled, and Grace saw tears, smiles, gratitude, and fears laid bare among her community. Suddenly, as a breeze swept through, the locket dangled from her neck, catching the light and sending tiny glimmers into the faces of those surrounding her. In that moment, Grace understood. True legacy wasn't the past hidden in a locket but the hope they ignited together as a family of believers. The gathering erupted into a chorus of encouragement, hands raised high, voices intermingling in an ecstatic hymn of trust and dedication. They were no longer just a village, but a living expression of faith. "Will you stand with me in faith?" Grace cried, her eyes shimmering with purpose. "Together, we will seek our destinies as one." But as the air buzzed with resolve, something unexpected surged from deep within her, an unsettling thrum of uncertainty and question. Was this unity enough to confront the challenges ahead? As Grace found herself enshrouded in the collective moment, an overwhelming weight settled on her heart. There was power in unity, yes, but what awaited them on their path of shared destiny? What trials would stretch their faith even further? The answers danced on the horizon, just out of reach, and so, as Grace looked towards her friends and family, each face a reflection of her spirit, she took a deep breath. "I feel we're on the brink of something monumental," she declared, the urgency of divine mystery ringing loud in her heart. What lay ahead was still veiled in shadows, waiting for revelation. In this fragile moment, Grace stood at the threshold of destiny, unsure yet willing to take the next step. What awaited them in the unfolding tapestry of divine intention? As Grace stood before her friends and family, the air around her crackled with a palpable energy. They had rallied together, transformed from mere neighbors into a united front, a tapestry of shared faith and hope. Yet, the weight of the unknown pressed down on her heart. Voices of her fellow villagers melded into a hymn, but within that chorus, Grace could still hear the whisper of her own doubts. They were a chorus of strength, but underneath, questions bubbled like a hidden spring waiting to burst forth. What challenges loomed on their horizon? Would their unity survive the trials ahead? "Let us pray together," she shouted, the urgency spilling from her lips. The villagers formed a circle around her, faces turned upward with eyes shining bright. Some clasped hands, while others reached toward the sky, calling upon the divine presence to guide them. The murmurs of prayer rose in unison, and she closed her eyes, feeling the surge of energy surrounding them, a magnetic field of collective spirit. "Lord," she began, her voice steady despite the storm brewing in her chest. "Guide us. Show us the way. We come to you with open hearts, seeking direction and strength." As she prayed, she felt the warmth envelop her, as if every hopeful soul around her was wrapping her in light. In that stillness, she sensed a flicker of the divine. It felt as though heaven itself was listening, ready to respond to their united cries. But what affirmation would greet them? Would it be comfort or challenge? Suddenly, a strong wind swept through the square, rustling the leaves of the ancient oak that stood tall behind them. Gasps of surprise flitted through the congregation, and Grace opened her eyes, drawn towards the tree's branches, which seemed to sway with an intent of their own. What is happening? A voice broke through the silence, a young woman with a look of awe and trepidation. The crowd was transfixed, eyes wide in anticipation, waiting for a sign of miracle. Grace sensed that this powerful moment necessitated more than mere words, it demanded action. Do not be afraid. She called out, her hands raised in faith. Whatever comes, we shall meet it together. This is not just any gathering, this is our divine moment. Our faith will be the beacon of light. Turning her gaze back to the tree, she was struck by the thought that nature itself reflected their collective heartbeat, echoing their unspoken fears and aspirations. There was wisdom in every bend of that oak, every rustle of its leaves. The universe seemed to be responding to their prayer, not with clarity but with invitations for deeper trust. Each of you carries a piece of what is yet to come, Grace declared, her voice rising above the wind. We are on the brink of our own divine destiny. Let us listen together. Let us open our hearts to the revelations our Father wishes to share. As the very sky seemed to tremble, Grace felt an inner urging to lead them into a deeper understanding. Let us seek the signs together. May our hearts be attuned to the whispers of the Spirit. The villagers nodded, their anxiety turning into a chorus of belief. A renewed purpose shone behind their eyes as they stepped closer, ready to navigate the uncharted path before them. But as they stood there, the air thick with potential, a new question took root in Grace's mind. What if their unity invoked a greater challenge? What if their faith would soon be tested in ways they could not even fathom? Would their bond withstand the storm? Determined yet wary, Grace felt the locket press against her chest, a gentle reminder of the past and all that she held dear. This was just the beginning, but could they truly claim their divine destiny? As the wind passed and the trees sighed, she felt the answers were nearer, but still concealed behind a veil of divine mystery. With anticipation in her heart, Grace knew she had to lead them forward. How would their faith shape the challenges that lay ahead? What miracles awaited them in the unfolding story of their lives? She took one resolute step, knowing that the journey had just begun. The villagers stood in a circle, the palpable energy lingering in the air, a tangible thread of connection woven through their hearts. Grace took a deep breath, feeling the anticipation swirl around her like a warm embrace. The whispers of uncertainty still echoed in her mind, but the light in the eyes of her companions ignited a flicker of hope within her. Let us listen, she urged gently, her voice rising above the gentle rustle of leaves. Let us be still and sense what the Spirit is conveying to us. They fell silent, eyes closed in prayer, a reverent hush enveloping the square. Time felt suspended as the breeze danced among them, carrying the scent of the earth and the sweetness of blossoming flowers. Grace could almost taste the sacred presence that surrounded them, filling every corner of their hearts with an unexplainable joy. As the moment stretched on, Grace felt a deep longing to understand. With each beat of her heart, she whispered within herself, Lord, guide us. We seek your wisdom. A soft voice rang out from the back of the crowd, a woman named Eliza, known for her gentle spirit. What if we placed our troubles before him? What if we shared our fears and our hopes, creating a space to be vulnerable? Her words hung in the air, reverberating like a bell's chime, awakening something profound within the gathering. Grace nodded, feeling the truth in Eliza's suggestion. Yes. Let us pour out our hearts. Each fear shared is a burden lightened, and every hope expressed becomes a beacon of promise. Slowly, one by one, the villagers began to step forward, their voices shaky but resolute. They spoke of personal struggles, worries about their futures, and aspirations that felt far away. With each confession, Grace noticed the collective weight of anxiety lifting. I fear for my children's safety, a man stammered, his voice thick with emotion. I long for healing from this illness, another added softly. Each heartache was met with compassion, the others nodding in understanding. And as they cried out their fears, Grace felt as if an invisible veil began to peel away, revealing a deeper layer of their connection. They were not alone in their struggles. Every voice echoed a universal experience. When the last words faded, silence pressed softly against them, a moment suspended in grace. Then, the wind shifted again, this time gently, carrying with it an unmistakable change. "Can you feel it?" Grace breathed, a spark igniting in her chest. "Yes." Someone called out. "It's like warmth. A presence." Hearts were softening, and she could sense the spirit moving among them. A light began to shimmer, a warmth that felt like a gentle caress, wrapping around them. Then, from the depths of her heart, Grace spoke the words that had been stirring within her. "This is our moment. Each of you has voiced your concerns, and together, we lift them up in faith. What we offer to the Lord our fears, our dreams is planted in the soil of His love. It is here, in this very place, that healing begins." A wave of agreement rippled through the group, soft murmurs of yes, rising like a rising tide. But even as faith filled the air, a lingering question tugged at Grace's spirit. What would it take for them to fully embrace the divine destiny awaiting them? Would they be prepared to act when the signs became clear? As she gazed around at the hopeful faces, she realized that doubt would always be a part of their journey, yet within that doubt lay the seeds of faith. Taking a step back, she felt drawn to the edge of the gathering, glancing once more towards the ancient oak tree, its branches swaying as if it, too, was part of their story. Yes, miracles awaited. But would they be ready for what those miracles might demand of them? The thought lingered in the air like a fragile thread, beckoning them into the depths of faith and the unknown. What revelations awaited them in the unfolding of this divine path? Grace's heart quickened with anticipation, and knowing that something extraordinary was about to unfold. The warmth hung heavily in the air, enveloping the villagers like a gentle blanket on a cool evening. Grace stood at the edge, her heart pounding as she felt the energy shift within the circle. There was a holy expectancy, a sense that something profound was brewing just beneath the surface. "I can sense a readiness in us," she said, her voice steady yet infused with urgency. "We have laid our fears at His feet. Now, let us prepare our hearts for what He might reveal." As she spoke, a flicker of light danced near the ancient oak. The villagers turned their eyes towards the venerable tree, its leaves shimmering as if listening to the sacred moment. Grace felt a gentle nudge from within, like a whisper urging her to step forward. "Imagine this tree," she said, spreading her arms as though embracing them all. "Rooted deep into the earth, yet reaching for the heavens. It draws strength from the soil while yearning for the sky. Like this tree, we too are called to grow firm in faith, yet soaring in hope." A murmur of agreement rippled through the gathering. They listened intently, their hearts were open. "What holds us back?" Eliza chimed in, her eyes sparkling with sincerity. "Fear tells us we are not enough. Doubt accuses us of being unworthy. But perhaps today is the day we silence those voices once and for all." "Yes," resounded through the crowd. Their energy lifted, igniting courage in each heart. Grace felt a swelling hope within her, a divine power urging them forward. "Let us not only seek hope but also courage," she continued. "Will we dare to step into the call upon our lives? Will we say yes to the possibilities that await?" The villagers nodded, some with tears in their eyes, others with clenched fists of determination. Grace looked into each face, seeing the mixture of fear and resolve, and she knew they were teetering on the cusp of transformation. In that moment, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves anew. It felt as if the Spirit was breathing through them. A flicker of golden light danced above the oak, cascading rays down upon them. Grace held her breath, sensing the divine invitation hanging in the air. "Let us make a pact," she suggested. "Each of us must speak what we will surrender today. Say it out loud and offer it to the Lord." One by one, they voiced their commitments. "I surrender my fear of the unknown. I give up my resentment toward those who have hurt me. I offer my dreams of a brighter tomorrow." With each declaration, a bond was forged, a tapestry of shared vulnerability and unwavering faith. The energy in the air thickened, wrapping around them as if the heavens themselves were listening, ready to respond. But even as hope surged, questions remained. Grace could feel the weight of them. What comes next? She wondered. How will he lead us? And are we ready for the lessons ahead? The light flickered once more, a divine wink inviting them deeper into the mystery. Grace took a step back, gazing once again at the oak. Its branches bowed gently in the wind, a reminder that even the strongest can bend. Was this the moment they had prayed for? Or was something greater still awaiting them on the horizon? As the echoes of their voices faded into the breeze, a stillness blanketed them, a divine silence whispering secrets only the heart could know. The call to rise, to act, beckoned on the brink of revelation. What awaited them in the days ahead? What divine actions would be required? A hush fell over the gathering, deep as the soil beneath the ancient oak. The villagers stood in unison, hearts pulsating with anticipation. It was a moment suspended in time, where the past mingled with the present, and futures unfurled like petals of a blooming flower. Grace could feel the shift, a kind of energy that tingled through the air, inviting them to yield to the divine presence among them. I can feel his presence, she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of sincerity. He is here, longing to guide us into the depths of our calling. A gentle gust swirled around them, carrying whispers of encouragement, as if the very breeze had come alive with the breath of the Lord. Grace's eyes shimmered with hope, reflecting the golden light that danced above the oak. She stepped closer, bolstered by the unity of the villagers standing proudly around her. Let us embrace this moment, she urged, arms open wide once more. God is not just asking us to give up our burdens. He is inviting us into something beautiful. It's a dance of divine grace, where our surrender becomes His opportunity to pour out blessings beyond what we can comprehend. Eliza stepped beside her, radiating passion and zeal. Can we trust that the light we seek lies just beyond our comfort zone? Are we willing to encourage one another to step out into the unknown, to walk on faith's great adventure? Some villagers nodded, their brows furrowed as they pondered the invitation. Others gasped as if struck by a sudden rush of revelation, an awakening illuminating the corners of their hearts. They felt a shift within, a stirring of resolute faith, readying themselves for the journey ahead. The wind picked up again, but this time, it felt different, more vibrant, more alive. It rustled the leaves and filled the air with a sweet, fragrant scent, drawing their attention back to the oak, aglow with an otherworldly light. As if sensing their awe, the tree creaked gently, beckoning them to draw nearer. Look! Grace exclaimed, pointing upwards where the sun had crowned the tree in shimmering rays. He is showing us that we are all part of His grand design. And while we may feel small, we are intricately woven into His story, each of us with a purpose. At the sound of her words, the villagers began to gather in small groups, clenching hands tightly as they shared their aspirations. Murmurs of dreams floated in the air. I desire to be a light for those lost in darkness. I yearn to forgive the hurts that have bound me. I wish to heal the wounds I carry with joy. Each statement echoed an invitation to divinely manifest their destinies, and with each expression, the energy magnified a holy symphony of hopeful co-creation. Grace's heart swelled with joy, as she witnessed the miraculous unfolding of potential blossoming within them. Believe, she urged. Our commitments will not go unnoticed. They are seeds planted in fertile ground, and as the days unfold, we shall witness their growth. Together, we will learn to navigate the unknown as He guides our every step. Just then, a soft glow radiated brighter around the oak, illuminating the faces of the villagers with warmth. The air hummed with anticipation, the promise of revelation, of divine plans about to unfold. What wonders await us? Grace pondered aloud, looking toward the horizon where light kissed the earth. What will be required of us? And will we have the courage to step boldly into the future? The gentle breeze brushed against their skin, carrying with it an electric sense of possibility. The silence returned, wrapping around them as a soft blanket, as if God Himself was cradling their hopes and dreams. In this mix of trepidation and excitement, the villagers stood poised on the edge of a new beginning, waiting what would tomorrow bring? What miracles were set to manifest before their very eyes? As daybreak tinted the horizon with shades of soft gold, the villagers gathered once more beneath the ancient oak, their hearts still humming with the afterglow of last night's revelation. Grace stood in the center, supported by the newfound strength of her community. Each face bore witness to a deepening faith, shining bright as the morning sun. Today, Grace began, her voice firm yet tender, we are called to venture into the unknown together. This isn't a solitary journey. Each step we take echoes in the spirit of our village. Are we ready to claim the light that awaits us? Amidst the assembly, heads nodded in agreement, some murmuring soft prayers, weaving a tapestry of unity that embraced the air around them. The excitement became tangible, a living pulse filled with fervent hope and divine expectation. Eliza, stepping forward, raised her arms to rally the crowd. Remember the dreams we shared. Let us speak them aloud, and in our declaration, let us breathe life into these aspirations. One by one, the villagers began to share their hearts. A young man named Thomas, with eyes full of wonder, voiced, I long to mend the rift between my family and pour kindness into the cracks that have formed. Another woman, Sarah, lifted her gaze and proclaimed, I want to create a place of refuge for those seeking shelter from the storm of life. With each revelation, the oak seemed to respond, leaves rustling, as if affirming their commitments. Grace exhaled deeply, realizing the potential surging overhead, bridging the space between the earthly and the divine. What we speak, we sow, she reminded the villagers gently, and today, we plant seeds of divine purpose. Together, we nourish each other, fostering growth and love. Laughter danced among them, and the sweet fragrance of the morning air filled their lungs with renewed vitality. Every voice wove a stronger bond, gently nudging those hesitant to step forward. The murmurs of encouragement swept through the crowd like wildfire, igniting hearts that had been dormant for too long. Their spontaneous declarations echoed again in unison, each word a wave of hope. I will serve. I will forgive. I will share joy. As the sun rose higher, a sudden stillness enveloped them. It was an unspoken invitation, a moment where heaven kissed earth and possibilities danced lightly. The villagers paused, sensing that God was intermingling with their fervor. Grace felt the divine whisper just above the rustling leaves, a promise unfolding like petals in the spring. Can you feel this? She whispered to Eliza, who nodded, eyes glimmering with unshed tears. He is breathing life into our dreams. Just at that moment, a shadow crossed over the fields, and the villagers turned to look. A magnificent cloud swirled above them, golden light streaming through its center, revealing figures silhouetted against the radiant backdrop. They seemed to beckon, a call to rise, to reach out for what lay beyond the horizon. Does this mean we are to follow? Eliza's voice trembled with excitement. Grace couldn't help but tear up at the beauty of it all, a spark igniting within her. It may be the very sign we've been waiting for. We are called to move, to embrace this journey with open hearts. They all looked up towards the vast sky, hearts racing, souls alight with the desire to become all that they were intended to be, standing on the precipice of a deeply transformative moment, yet questions lingered like whispers on the wind. What awaited them in the journey ahead? What trials or triumphs lay before them in the days to come? The villagers took a collective breath, breathing in sacred possibilities, ready to discover the answers, ready to step into their divine destiny. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very atmosphere crackled with divine energy. The sacred cloud hung above them, bathing the villagers in golden light, illuminating their faces with a soft glow. With hearts pounding in their chests, Grace stepped forward, looking each person in the eye. Friends, God beckons us. This is more than a vision, it is a revelation. We stand at the crossroads. Are we ready to journey forth, hand in hand? A chorus of agreement blossomed. The oh-so-familiar village, with all its laughter and trials, transformed in that moment into a sacred sanctuary, vibrant with purpose. Timidly, an elder named Martha raised her voice, trembling but resolute. I believe we must seek not just for ourselves. We share this destiny with all, even those afar. Can we extend our hearts beyond these hills? Nods of understanding rippled through the crowd like waves, urging Grace on. Yes, Martha. Let our hearts be the compass, guiding us to those in need. With every step, let us burn brighter for those who wander in darkness. As her words hung in the air, an unexpected breeze swept through the assembly, causing the leaves of the ancient oak to sway in agreement. It felt as if nature itself lent its voice to our mission. One by one, villagers began to share their visions of how they could reach out beyond their own circles, bringing food for the hungry, offering joy to the lonely, sharing their talents with the world. With enthusiasm growing, Eliza took her place at Grace's side. What if we create a gathering? A place for all who need hope. At these words, excitement bubbled up, a hope infused with divine aspiration. Let us call it the Festival of Light, shouted a voice from the back. As they exchanged ideas, their spirits intertwined, and the ground beneath the ancient oak felt hallowed, as if it were whispering secrets of generations past. It was a calling to elevate their hearts, to intertwine their destinies into something greater than themselves. Yet, in the midst of the excitement, a nagging doubt flickered in Grace's heart. She caught Eliza's gaze, sensing a shared understanding. What if we fail? The question hung heavy, a soft hush enveloping them. Another villager, Samuel, known for his quiet wisdom, spoke up gently. But what if in our attempts to shine, we touch lives we'll never know? What if our failures pave the way to miracles we never imagined? Suddenly, what had felt like a burden transformed. Laughter mingled with joyful tears as they began to recognize that their imperfections were simply the vessels of grace through which their light would shine. Each villager began to share stories of personal trials. Moments when they had stumbled but found beauty in their struggles. Voices rose up, mingling with the breeze, creating an overwhelming symphony of faith, a reminder of the power embedded in their unity. As their plans began to take form, Grace felt an undeniable truth surging within. We are not alone in this, she declared, words flowing like a river. God walks with us. There are angels guiding our way. The sky darkened momentarily, casting shadows, but the golden light remained, all the more brilliant against the backdrop of uncertainty. In that charged atmosphere, the villagers felt transformed, invigorated by the shared mission. But just as the smiles adorned their faces, a distant rumble shook their resolve, an unexpected storm deep on the horizon. What must we do? Grace asked, panic tinting her voice. What if the festival is thwarted? Eliza grasped Grace's arm, her eyes reflecting those golden beams. We keep moving forward. This storm, too, will serve a purpose. Like the rain nurtures the earth, so might our trials lead us to deeper connections. And just then, from the heart of the gathering, a sacred whisper echoed. This journey begins anew. They cast their eyes towards the horizon, hearts pounding with a peculiar mix of fear and fervor. What awaited them through the storm? Could their light withstand the darkness? They stood ready, gazing into the unknown, spirits intertwined, standing on the threshold of destiny. What lay ahead was shrouded in mystery, yet anticipated with unyielding faith. In the distance, the clouds began to move, swirling and shifting as if preparing to unveil something profound. What revelation would come? What divine surprises waited just beyond the veil? The storm rolled closer, its sound spiraling into a symphony of nature's majestic power. The villagers felt a swell of energy beneath the weight of the gathering clouds. Every heartbeat echoed with a singular truth: they were stepping into the unknown together. Remember the stories, Grace urged, her voice rising above the incoming wind. Every time fear threatened to steal their light, faith turned the tide. We can do that too. Hope flared in her eyes as she glanced at the villagers, each face a testament of what had come before. As thunder rattled the heavens, Samuel's calm voice emerged. Let us anchor ourselves in prayer and gratitude. For every trial leads us closer to the heart of God. A ripple of agreement flowed through the crowd. They joined hands, forming a living chain of unity. Grace felt the warmth of their clasp, a reminder that love was always stronger than fear. Together, they took a deep breath, lifting their voices toward heaven. Thank you, Lord, for the light that guides us. Thank you for the strength we find in each other. Their words rose like incense, carried on the fierce winds as if heaven itself listened. In that precious moment, the storm softened, allowing the sacred golden light to flicker through the dark. It felt like a caress, a promise that they weren't alone. Eliza squeezed Grace's hand. See? Our prayer ignites hope, even in this chaos. Grace nodded, a smile breaking through her momentary doubt. Yes. This storm might just bring the nourishment we need. A rumble of laughter erupted from the gathering as they shared stories and dreams, lifting spirits higher than the thunder above. Suddenly, a bright flash illuminated the sky, and the very air shimmered with an electric excitement. The crowd watched, awestruck, as a singular beam of light pierced through the clouds, illuminating a path that seemed to beckon them forward. "Look!" someone gasped. "It's a sign. We must follow." Encouraged by this divine invitation, the villagers released each other's hands but remained knit together by the same fervor. They moved as one, following the beam, toward the unknown. Grace's heart pounded, both in wonder and reverence, as she led them, each step resonating with purpose. "Where is it leading us?" she wondered aloud. "Forward into a future brightened by our intention," a villager called back, his voice barely audible over the wind. Down the hillside they trotted, hearts swelling with the anticipation of divine encounters yet unseen. Inspired by the collective light they carried, they approached the valley, a sea of verdant life bursting with color and possibility. As they stepped into the clearing, a hush fell upon them. Before them lay a gathering of souls who had wandered from further afield, weary, lost, yet still seeking. Faces of despair turned toward them, eyes shining with a hint of hope. The villagers felt a surge of emotion, an unbreakable bond igniting with purpose. They had come to offer light, and here it was waiting for them to deliver it. "What do we do now?" asked an uncertain voice in the crowd. As Grace looked upon these seekers before her, understanding washed over her. "We shine. This is our moment to be the light they yearn for. We'll share our stories, our struggles, our hope." The path of illumination before them glimmered with unrestrained potential. This was more than a festival, it was a communion of hearts united by divine purpose, a glorious tapestry woven by God's hand. Yet, just as the villagers took a step forward, the shadows flickered across the valley, darkness teasing the corners of their minds. Would their light be enough in this moment? Resolved, Grace whispered to herself, "What unseen miracles are waiting for us, even now?" As the first drop of rain fell, the collective gasp mingled with the anticipation reverberating through the air. The storm was here, but within the storm, a new beginning unfolded. What divine blessings would emerge through the deluge? With faith kindled, they stood poised to embrace whatever was to come, ready for transformation. And as the festival of light began to take shape, they could not shake the feeling that the unfolding journey had only just begun. What would the next chapter reveal? The seventh day unfolded, awash in the golden warmth of dawn, as Grace stood before her beloved village, heart thrumming with divine purpose. The storm had passed, leaving behind a clear sky that shimmered with promise. Each villager was gathered beneath the ancient oak, the air alive with anticipation and renewed hope. Grace felt the electric energy pulse through the gathering, a collective spirit yearning to rise as one. "Today, friends," she called out, her voice imbued with a subtle urgency and steadfast reassurance, "we are poised on the edge of what we never dreamed possible. This is our moment. Through every trial, we've been molded and fortified. We are more than individuals, we are a tapestry of faith, woven together in God's love." A crescendo of agreement filled the air, echoing off the village walls. Eliza stepped forward, her eyes radiant. "Together, we shall usher in this festival of light. Let us invite everyone, those nearby and those in distant lands, to come share in the hope that binds us." Grace felt a swell of joy spread through her chest. "Let us not only celebrate our journeys but also extend our hands to those wandering in darkness," she proclaimed, as the villagers nodded, their faith revitalized into a palpable force. As preparations commenced, people moved with a newfound vigor. Laughter rang through the streets as children danced and the elderly shared their stories, revealing hidden ties that linked their lives to one another. Grace watched with teary eyes, knowing they were birthed from struggles, but now held glimmers of hope brighter than her heart had known in a long while. Just as the sun reached its zenith, casting golden rays over the crowd, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the oak tree, and Grace felt the familiar warmth sweep through her soul. Saint Michael, ever present, enveloped them with protection and purpose. It felt as if heaven was smiling down, affirming this newly forged unity. Standing atop a low wooden stage, Grace gathered her loved ones around her. "When we shine our light, we illuminate the paths for others to follow. We create spaces where burdens are lifted, and dreams are nurtured. Let our festival be a beacon of hope. Cheers erupted, a joyful sound spiraling higher into the blue expanse. The villagers knew the importance of this moment. They were no longer just a collection of individuals. They were a community of believers gathered to reflect the love of God. Grace's heart expanded as she watched neighbors connect over tables loaded with food, laughter mingling with the warm, inviting aroma of freshly baked bread. They shared stories, hopes, and high aspirations amid joyful encounters. People from surrounding areas began to arrive, drawn in by the radiance of their spirit. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a hue of orange and purple, a hush descended as the villagers gathered for the last segment of the festival. Grace stepped to the forefront, her voice steady, yet filled with a tenderness that resonated with every heart. Tonight, let us not forget why we came together. We are here to celebrate, yes, but more so to be a collective light in this world. Emboldened, she spoke of the fears they had shared and the vulnerabilities they had surrendered. Each of us carries a light within, illuminations within. Let us now share that light through acts of love, for it's this love that breaks chains, that heals wounds, and fulfills dreams. Suddenly, the air grew thick with expectancy. As Grace spoke, a soft glow began to emanate from the villagers. It was not only the legacy of their faith but the manifestation of their promise, a call to remember that they were vessels of God's glory. The crowd began to hum a sacred melody full of warmth and hope, a soft but powerful offering of unity that wrapped around them. With the darkness slowly creeping in, the first stars twinkled like diamonds in the sky. Grace smiled, sensing it was time. "Let us light the lanterns," she exclaimed, her arms outstretched, inviting the villagers to join. Each person lit a lantern, a flickering flame, coming to life, spreading from heart to heart like wildfire. The vibrant glow united the villagers, illuminating the corners of the night and dispelling fear. As they released the lanterns into the sky, prayers spilled from grateful hearts. "May our lights guide the lost," one voice cried out. "May hope resound in every heart," came another. They lifted their hands together, drawing strength from a shared purpose that tethered them. High above, the lanterns floated like stars themselves, a constellation birthed from the collective hearts of a devoted community. Grace knew they were not just celebrating an event but a transformative journey. A journey forged through trials, revelation, and divine orchestration that echoed eternity. In that moment, Grace offered a silent prayer of gratitude. She had witnessed miracles unfold, not just in the physical healing of Jamie, but in the unbreakable bonds crafted from faith, hope, and love. As the final lantern was released, and the last echoes of the evening song faded into the night, Grace turned to her villagers, their faces glowing with triumph and unity. "This," she breathed, her eyes shimmering with joy, "is just the beginning. We've only just begun to claim our divine destiny. Let us walk forward, hand in hand, shining brightly in our community, lifting spirits wherever we go." Embracing one another, hearts aglow with the eternal promise of hope, the villagers stepped into the new day, ready to weave their shared legacy into the tapestry of life together. They would brave whatever came next. Now, brothers and sisters, this is your moment to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to ensure you never miss another exclusive faith story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this sacred message. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. And don't hesitate, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to show your support. Together, we amplify the light of God. Don't wait even one more second. Be part of this movement.